Oh, welcome back to Razmafoo. What's up, Moofus? Uh, I have I haven't done this in over a year, if not more, maybe even 2 years. I don't know how long it's been. But I'm back with a new idea. Here I am in the most basic of setups. Actually, if you haven't seen me on the Quarter Twins podcast, which is my other channel with Jordan, go subscribe to that. We're at 49 subscribers. You could be our 50th. Um, if you're a subscriber on this channel and you got a notification and you're like, oh yeah, I forgot about that guy. Let me click on that video real quick. I live somewhere else. I've changed my setup multiple times. I got a bookcase behind me. I got Legos behind me. I got books behind me now. It's dope. We live in. It's awesome. Regardless, I am here with a new idea that definitely no one has probably ever come up with before. Actually, I have no idea, but this is just like something I thought that I would do because I think it makes sense for my brain and how I like to brainstorm things and think of things. So here I am today with a new type of sort of podcast, sort of writer's room, sort of just me thinking out loud in the most intentional way that I can. So what am I doing today? So you see a Google Doc before you, just over here. This is my DnD campaign setting, the Ethereum. So I will be writing a source book. I'm not like oh, I'm writing my source book that I'm gonna sell. No, this is just my idea of like I finally started being a dungeon master for a group of people, and I am using like the base stuff, and I have a couple books planned. I have, at least a full year and like maybe even more than 2 years of time before this setting will be played, because I have a bunch of other books that I want to run. Obajima's coming out in September. Then I'm getting the Land of Oo from Adventure Time setting book. We're going to run that, and who knows how long those will take. So there's a possibility that this won't even ever happen. The group could break up before then. Who knows? Okay, so what am I going to be doing exactly? I guess would be the most impertinent part here at the beginning before I lose you guys. So basically, I'm just going to, whenever I'm sitting down and I'm going to take some time to think, specifically, I'm going to be working on this or like inputting ideas that I had at work or whatever it is. I'm going to, sit up, record, and talk it through so that I can watch it back and see how, like, my train of thought a week ago or a month ago. And be like, well, how did I come up with that idea? Like, what was why did I think of that? And then I can come back and literally just watch myself train of thought it, and then be like, oh, yeah. And then I can, retool it or change the lore or figure out how I want to do it. And so this is like the safest way for me to do this, so that I have this is like the safest way for me to do this, where I can just sit here and think as much as possible. And I think that is going to be good for me to just come up with ideas for this campaign in general. So what do we have so far? Because I do already have a good bit so far. We have a name, the Ethereum. You may already recognize this as the main idea. So I took a nap one day, and I dreamed about Treasure Planet the movie, one of the greatest movies of all time. If you don't like Treasure Planet, you're sad, and I'm sorry for you. You don't have to love it, but you gotta like it. It's good. And in that movie, there is this Ethereum. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. And basically, you can breathe in space. And so you have like normal pirate ships in space. So just think about that for literally less than half a second. You're already on board. I can already see you signing up on the Patreon or something, you know? Send me the PDF. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to be doing that. We're going to have multiple solar systems of planets. We're going to have sort of a Dune, Landsrad political system and a spacing guild and stuff like that. These various factions that you can subscribe to. We're going to have a lot of MMO elements with, like, you're going to be getting mail from your ship for quests. Like, people are going to be sending messages to you. Like, hey, come to this planet, do this thing real quick, and we'll give you access to our spacing lanes, you know, this sort of thing. And then you're going to have your ship, and so you're going to, you know, a ship can't run with 4 to 6 players, so you're going to need a crew, and so you're going to have people coming together, you're going to be able to hire crew members, you're going to, you know, NPCs can become crew members and journey with you on your ship. And, you know, they'll follow your orders, and they, you know, you go to a planet to do the main story quest, and you send your crew members off to do a thing and to guard the ship and blah blah blah. So this whole the main idea is the Ethereum is this breathable, like, all the collection of these 3 suns. We have 3 suns, and they each have 2 planets, a moon, and a spaceport. Is kind of the basic version right now today. 2023. If you're watching this and there's a big long playlist, shout out to me for not giving up on something. But also, shout out to you for starting this. The idea may literally be completely different. The name might be completely different. You know, Ethereum could be copyrighted, and I'm just going to change it. You know, whatever. I am going to try to... anything that I am inspired by, or books that I'll be using, literal D&D source books. Sorry for the shaking. I'm gonna rename things that those things inspire me from. Like I have the Eberron book, the Eberron D&D source book. I'm gonna use that to, like, I'm gonna make Warforged, and like I want to do something with that. But the planet is not Eberron. The planet will be Desperado. Right? Okay. So that's where we're at. That's the idea we're dealing with, okay? So it's going to be heavily inspired by a multitude of things. I got all these books. I keep pointing over there. I got all these books. I got, you know, every video game I've ever played, all the TV shows. I'm going to be drawing inspiration from media across the multiverse and coming up with a way to bring it all together into a spaceship, pirates, Dune, Star Wars, anime, video games, MMOs, you know, all of this stuff. I'm going to bring it all together into a full giga, the big one, the big campaign. And you might already, if you have any experience doing this, making campaigns, please comment on my video telling me I am biting off more than I can chew. And get, but okay, I'm being a little facetious. I already know that this is more than I can chew, and I realize that, but I don't know if you could tell, I'm a little insane on this idea right now. I'm a little crazy right now. So instead, comment down there, you're like, dude, I have this great idea, or this thing already exists, here's a link to it, or like, go find this thing, it'll save you some time, you know, and then I'll save myself some time. You know, if I'm coming up with a campaign setting that already exists, please send it to me, and I will draw inspiration from it and continue my own work. But the idea is that the Ethereum, a guide to the high cosmos. Yes! Yes, yes, yes! So, I'm going to read the synopsis for you, and then I'll summarize everything else as we go. So, the Ethereum is outer space, the ocean between planets, a pressurized, breathable, safe, outer space. Within the Ethereum, you can achieve your wildest dreams. Anything from piracy to diplomacy. You like that? I'm a writer. Treasure awaits across the galaxy's multitude of planets. The many tribes, guilds, houses, and factions vie for your loyalty. The Ethereum has created a well-connected, easily traversed galaxy, and what you encounter will certainly alter the course of not only your solar sails, but also you and your crew's entire lives. Oh! Father, forgive him! That's a banger. It's a banger. We're very excited. It's going to be awesome. So, basically, I want it to be as open and maybe sort of like sandboxy in a way, just as simple as like, here's the first sun. You have a couple planets, a spaceport, a moon. You can do stuff here, levels 1 through 7. Then you get access to faster than light travel. You travel to the next sun, and you can do stuff there to level 14, and then you go level 15 to 20 on the third sun, and you finish the campaign. And there is like a plot, but not, I understand, I've watched the videos, DMing 101, Idiot's Guide to Dungeon Mastering, videos titled in all caps, do not make a plot. It's the plot will be character driven. It will be player driven. This is my dream. This is my passion. This is my ambition. Okay. I'm gonna work with my players on this in the future. By the way, if you are one of my players and you're watching this and you're still watching this 15 minutes into recording, if you're still watching this, shout out to you for the ambition. I love that about you. Eventually, I will talk about spoilers. I literally have in the document, DMIs only, spoilers ahead, because you all have access to this document. I have sent it to you before I wrote this part. So, if you are looking at this document, if you are spoiling this campaign for yourself, please do not. That will be lame. But if you are a dungeon master or a player and this excites you, please feel free to steal any and all of my ideas. I do not care about copyright. I don't care about making money off of this. If anything, God willing, I will make money off of the YouTube videos, and that'll be enough. I don't need to, or Wizards of the Coast will give me a job writing dungeon books for them, because that would be freaking sick, by the way. Hire me. Okay. So, what was I talking about? I had a whole train of thought there before I mentioned the players. It doesn't matter. Right. So, basic intro to the lore. A long, long time ago, as all good books start, 250,000 years ago, so not that long ago, there were this group of aliens, people, godlike beings called the Stellari. They created the Ethereum, basically this little chunk of space that we're living in, that we're vibing in, has one atmosphere. Like every planet has its own atmosphere, own breathable space, that sort of thing. Think of the Ethereum as a nebula in space, just a big star factory baby maker in space, a big pink, purple, blue cloud of random gases. And basically the Ethereum was made by the Stellari. They created this thing where you have all this gas and all this pressure building and creating these planets. It's also creating life. We have this big, huge atmosphere surrounding all these planets. They have their own atmosphere, more or less. But it's just, I'm using the idea of an atmosphere to make sense of, like, you drive your ship out into space. You don't need a space suit. You don't need pressurized spaceships. You can take your pirate ship, put some rockets on the bottom of it, fly it straight up into space, you'd be completely fine. You know, that's the idea. So there are, I haven't come up with the map. Oh, here we go. See, this is why. This is the thing. This is the thing that we're doing over here. Okay, so if I have any ideas and I need to paint something or draw something, I'll do it over here. Okay, let me make that as thick as I can make it. Gorgeous. I'm going to keep that there for now until I think of something else to draw. So, the Ethereum is... That's gorgeous. I love that. Look at that. The Ethereum was made by the Stellari. Once the planets that already had life, they were kind of like in medieval ages, they came up with ships. Then they strapped, like, they figured out that they could go to space. They understood what the Ethereum was. They created their ships. They also created solar sails and thrusters and began moving their ships into space. So the technology for the ship has kind of been perfected at the classic pirate ship, you know, this thing, right? They're out there with the lady on here, right? And the cannons and stuff like that. So that's where they're at, right? And so that's more or less like the master level of ships. And we don't, like, the faster than light travel exists, and there is no need for the technology to really improve. So pirate ships are the standard ship sort of thing. I mean, there are other ways to traverse the stars, of course. You can strap yourself onto a big space whale and fly, you know, along the space whale. Whatever you want to do. But the idea is they figured out how to do space the same time they figured out how to do water. And so they did that. And 1 year, apparently, let's make that 10 years after they figured out how to go into space. 10 years later, they started the first high cosmic war. Or the cosmic war. The first cosmic war. They did that 37 times over the course of the next 230,000 years. Until 15,000 years ago, a high elf family, whose name has already been erased by their successors, brought peace through negotiation and the creation of a galaxy-wide trade system. That galaxy-wide trade system is, of course, the Spacefarers Guild, which we'll talk about in a second. The Ethereum is now home to the High Cosmos, a collection of many planets within the Great Conglomerate, within which the Great Conglomerate, the Landsrad, dictate laws of trade, commerce, and define ethics across its domain. The current royal family, the Starborns, who have ruled for 10,000 years, live on the Rock of Brawl. This will be renamed, but yes, it is the Rock of Brawl from the Spelljammer book. Spelljammer? I don't know. It's kind of giving Spelljammer vibes. Volves? I don't know what that means. Regardless, the idea so it'll be the Rock of Brawl. I'll change the name in the future. That's the current stand-in name. I put in the basic names for everything, and I've slowly been changing them as ideas have come to me. Anyway, so within the great houses, within the Great Conglomerate, there are great houses, which I believe are actually called high houses. Yes, this should be high houses. From the capital of the Rock of Brawl, have ruled nearly for 10,000 years. Each high house represents their respective planet in the capital, while maintaining relations between planets on their home worlds with the help of planetary council, made of members of various minor factions. These factions also, of course, have their own agendas, and if they had their way, would certainly be more than minor factions. The average Joe in the Ethereum might be anyone from a common worker at a smithing shop to a tailor for a noble house. The most common job among the Ethereum, however, is a crew member of the Spacefarers Guild. The Spacefarers Guild leads the high cosmos in trade, and aside from the Starborns, the royal family are considered the wealthiest institution in the Ethereum. So basically, they're just the Spacing Guild from Dune, but instead of transporting anything, it's mostly just goods. So they have the biggest ships, the fastest ships, that sort of thing. They have the most money, they have the best lawyers, they have the best lobbyists within the great houses, the high houses. Dang it, now I'm mixing myself up. They are as royal as the royal family, the leaders of the Spacing Guild. So, if you need to trade in something more nefarious, however, you can only look to Ethereum Pirates Limited, a band of brigands who specialize in smuggling illegal items across the high cosmos. So Ethereum Pirates Limited is, we'll talk about them in a second. I have all the factions down there. While you're doing business outside the law, make sure not to cross the Vandans, or you might become part of the family. Ooh. If it's magic you're after, best look to the Academia Magi, a collection of schools on every major planet that teach everything from potion making, patron contract negotiations, and spellcrafting to magic item bonding, mystical flora and fauna biology, and runic entomology. Is etymology, is that the right word? Study of origin of words. Yeah, okay. I'm alright with that. Runic etymology. Yeah, that's cool. Okay. So we have our factions here. We have the Great Conglomerate is the faction. So if you do anything for any of these people, then you will be working for the Great Conglomerate as a general. So when we look more into factions later, we look at the leveling system and the benefits from that, it will be for the Great Conglomerate, not any of the specific families. So we have the royal family, the Starborns. They live on the Rock of Brawl. They are high elves. We have the Vandans. They are vampiric humans, so vampires. They live on Ebonhold, which we'll look at later. I don't have a ton of everything filled out, but that's what I'm here to do. We have the Delglagors. They live on Gleeshgore. They're plasmoids. We have the Kyriads. That name is subject to change. I'm not a huge fan of it. They are the Tieflings from Kuzimu, which is some language meaning hell. I don't know. I don't remember. I just typed in hell in Google Translate and picked a bunch of languages until I found a word I liked. We have the Githyanki. They live on Tunarath. This is the only one I think I might not change. We'll see. I don't know a lot about Githyanki yet, but we'll get there when we get into those books. So, we have the Pendragons, just a sick name. The Dragonborns from Bol, which is based off of Theros, the Greek place. I'm excited about that one. I might change the Dragonborn race to Desperado, which is our Eberron planet, because Eberron, the guy who is the planet, is a dragon. I might change that. We'll see. I might switch those two. Or completely get rid of the Warforged as a royal family. We'll see what I want to do there. We have the Sakakis, which are turtles from Unuma, which will be our water planet, water deep, salt marsh, that sort of stuff. And Mithril Spear, which again, subject to change. I think I am going to remove the Warforged as a royal family. It doesn't really make sense because they are made. So there's not really a bloodline per se. I mean, they could be elected, but I think I'm going to change it. So who would be over here? I don't know. But right now that's the Warforged from Desperado, which is Eberron. And then Hilda, which is a hive mind of dwarves. And the planet is also named Hilda, which is fun. Okay, so that's the Great Conglomerate and the High Houses and the Royal Family. So then we have the Spacefaring Guild. They lead trade in the Ethereum. They're going to be very secretive, very capitalistic, very power-hungry group as they continue and cling to the power that they already have. We have Ethereum Pirates Limited, which they're kind of like goofy, funny guys that. Also, we're gonna get rid of the Stellari. They exist. Don't worry, they're not going anywhere. They're just not a faction you can interact with. At least not to the level of this. We'll see what I decide to do with them in the future. But anyway, the pirates they're like just a bunch of idiots, basically. But they came up with this name because they wanted to sound super legit. So they're like, oh, we'll be the Ethereum Pirates Limited because we want to be as powerful as the Von Don family. We want to be as powerful as the Spacefarers Guild. We want to be, these hype guys. So they came up with the name Ethereum Pirates Limited. Basically, they're hardly even a faction. There isn't really even a leader per se. They just have like a group of the pirates in the Ethereum, all subscribe to the Ethereum Pirates Limited. There's like a code conduct. Maybe there will be like a sort of council of higher captains that have respect, but no like literal leadership or like orders to take. They are idiots. Trying to be as legit as they possibly can, but they don't know how to be. The Von Don family, a vampire mafia family, and crime syndicate. You guys let me know if this is dumb. I think it's freaking sick. I don't know how many times, some people think vampires are tacky. This is something I've heard. But I think it's a great idea. I'm gonna suck your blood, huh? Come on. Right? Come on. Godfather, but he's also a vampire. Come on, we're talking multiple layers of interesting things going on here, right? We're taking the vampires, we're taking the mafia, and we're putting them together. Okay, relax. And then we have Academia Magi, which is just like Wizard School, the Magic Triumvirate. Am I right, guys? The Magical School of Roa or whatever. So all the wizards and stuff teach magic there. So this is one thing I will say, if we're going to do Academia Magi as like a large campaign thing, mostly based off of Strixhaven, then all of my players will be required to do magic in some capacity. Otherwise, if we spend months doing magic school, then like a freaking My Hero Academia arc, but magic. I don't know what magic school is there. Harry Potter. Good Lord, haven't thought of that a single time. If we decide to do Harry Potter, sorry, I just thought that was really cool. If we decide to do Harry Potter and we have like a barbarian brute who doesn't do any magic, then, or a fighter who just doesn't, like, just not an Eldritch Knight, then we have potentially an issue. My counter is Mashal. I think that's what it's called. It's an anime where this guy goes to magic school and he doesn't have magic and he wins everything by being muscle. Magic and muscle. Yeah, so this guy. So, don't take me to Crunchyroll, no. This guy. So he's like, doesn't use magic at all. He's just buff. And so that was kind of my idea, is if somebody wanted to do that, where they could be like just a strong dude in a magic school full of magic and he doesn't know any magic. Or like Black Clover or something, right? He could be, what's his face? Or like Guts, if you wanted to go that route. Yeah, okay. So we'll get a little bit more detail from below here. Oh, and we also have spaceports. So here are the 3 spaceports. These are, and I will have to edit this stuff because there are some changes that have been made in my mind, and so this document will have to be updated as we go, which I have notes on my phone that I took during work on my break, of course. So we have 3 spaceports currently named after stars in our system, which I have no issue keeping these names. This is the correct spelling of Cassiopeia. These are the correct locations where they will be. Kuzimu, Unuma, and Bol. So these are the main planets from each section, from each system. So there will be 1 spaceport in each system. It makes a lot of sense. So we have the crescent moon-shaped one, which is, again, treasure planet. We have a spherical one, which is more or less, I mean, the Death Star, but more specifically, like, smooth, like Phantasm, like freaking just like an orb. All right. And then we have an asteroid cluster one, which is also... the vision in my head is from Star Wars, but I'm sure there are other... it might look more like Nowhere from Guardians of the Galaxy, where it's like an ancient celestial head, right? But like more specifically the inside, where it's like very vertical inside an asteroid or a bunch of asteroids kind of stuck together by buildings in between each other. There's one from Rogue One that I'm thinking of. Let me see if I can find it. This thing. Yeah. So this is what I'm thinking of, where there's like a big, like, cities reaching for each other across a gap between asteroids. I think that's a cool idea. Gravity, somewhere in the middle kind of flips. That could be a fun fight. Something like that. So maybe not specifically this, but just something along those lines. Is what I'm doing for that. Okay. So if you are a player, turn around, go away, see you in like 3 years when we finally start doing this. If you're not one of my players, feel free to continue watching. If you're still here, amazing. You're awesome. Otherwise, this is just for me. So we have a quick basic idea for you guys to look at. So planets and superstructures, this is kind of how I'm basing all the locations. So we have the Rock of Brawl, again, name subject to change. And then we're going to have this little section here that will be like the list of things I'm referencing for this area. So the Astral Adventurer's Guide, the Spelljammer book, and then the Light of Xerxes, which is a specific adventure for the Rock of Brawl. So those are my basic items for this location. As more things are referenced or made for this area, as I continue to fill it out, then we will have more references here in italics, or not, depending on what they are. So the idea is it is a bustling space sky high. So like, I mean, I don't. If you know what Eberron, if you know what the Rock of Brawl is, it is an asteroid, but like flat on the top. Here, I will draw it. Oh no. Let me click on this window and then click Control Z. Oh no. Okay, so it's like this, and then there's a city on top, and there's like rocket boosters or something keeping it afloat in space. And so this is the Rock of Brawl, or as I like to call it, T-Rob. And so the Rock of Brawl is the superstructure, home of the High Cosmos, home to the Starboard family and the Great Conglomerate HQ. The High Conglomerate, I don't know why I keep calling it great. It's high. They're not the great houses. They're the high houses. Oh, and the reason for that is because it's the High Cosmos. So if you didn't already pick up on that, this is, instead of the high seas, it's the High Cosmos. All right? So the pirates, they sail the high seas. Now they're sailing the High Cosmos. Okay, thank you so much. And then we're repurposing the word high for the high conglomerate and the high houses, using it for its more literal term, being above other people. So this will be incredibly diverse, and then as you get closer to the upper city, then it will be mostly humans and mostly humans and then high elves as well in the upper city. And then we'll use the Light of Xerxes. I need to read that book, the adventure book, so that I can actually write down what we're going to be doing, because I'm going to change it a little bit, because I know it starts on another planet. So we'll have to figure out how exactly we want to do it. We might still start it on another planet. We might start it on the planet that takes place around Sun 3, which I have not named the stars yet. And there might be more planets or less planets. We'll figure out how it goes later. We have Ebenhold, which is the home of the Von Dons. The idea is it's based on Ravenloft, so it's going to be spooky, Halloweeny, crows, vampires, werewolves, liches, ooey, as I say down here. But it's also like the mafia. So you have a lot of guys going around talking like this, scratching their face with the back of their fingers. Come here. So it's going to have that angle to it as well. Hopefully one of my players will contract lycanthropy on that moon. This is a moon. Let's write that down. Moon of Kuzimu. Okay. Yes. And then I'm going to also label these based on which sun they orbit. Okay, so that's Sun 3. And then I will say Sun 1 for Ebenhold. I have the locations for those on my phone. Down here, yes. Okay. So, Gleeshgore is in Sun 1. Kuzimu is in Sun 1. And I will change these once they have names. Tunarath, also subject to change, is in Sun 2. Bowl is in Sun 3. We have stuff for Bowl. I will talk about it in a minute. Unuma is Sun 2. Right? Yes. Desperado is in Sun 2. Hilda is in Sun 3. Okay, and then Cassiopeia is in Sun 1. Orion is in Sun 2. And Sirius is in Sun 3. Okay, so furthermore, Hilda is a planet. No, Hilda is a moon of Bowl. Desperado is a planet. Unuma is a planet. And the spaceport travels around it. Bowl is a planet. Tunarath is a superstructure orbiting Desperado. Kuzimu is a planet. Gleeshgore is a planet. Ebenhold is a moon. Those are our 3 moons. And our 3 spaceports and our 3 planets. 6 planets. Rock of Brawl will be treated as a planet. It is a superstructure, but it doesn't orbit anything. It's chilling on its own somewhere. Okay, so continuing on here. Ebenhold, Gleeshgore is our plasmoid planet. I kind of want this one to be really weird, crazy, gross. I don't... Main story beat? There will be main story beats everywhere, because we can't plan for that. Space battles. I do want to do spaceship stuff. Spelljammer apparently doesn't give a lot of information as to how to use the ships in combat. It has like maps for ships, like you can use as a floor plan for the ships, but there isn't like literally how to use the ships to fight. So my plan is mostly just to make them a character in combat with their own initiative and their own turns. I think that is more or less going to be fine. They'll basically just have their own character sheet and have their own turn and abilities and features and all that sort of stuff in battle. Kuzimu, this is my first really cool idea on this list, is hell overturned by the tieflings, who have basically made it the Sword Coast in hell. So it's going to be referencing the Sword Coast Adventures and Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus. So we're going to have the layers, but it's going to be peaceful and nice and green and happy. But then, like, at the bottom are all the demons that they imprisoned. So, like, scary potential hell unleashed on the various layers of the planet. It'll basically just be like down to Nessus in the core where all the demons chill. And then we'll have the various layers, and it'll kind of just be like a city, more or less, all the way up and down, with various Great Plains and green mountains and all this stuff. Like, as the layers go up, you get more peaceful, more happy, more loving. But it was hell. So, like, everything that is in hell is here, but, like, happy and peaceful, except for the like, great archfiends and archfey, and, like, the crazy crap, and the devils, you know, and all the demons and things. But, like, the random guys who just live in hell will be fine. And there might even be some, like, undead people just chilling, like, not trying to kill you. Tuna Wrath, we have on Sun 2, Orbiting Desperado, which is our Eberron mock. This one I'm going to be using Tuna Wrath, which is the actual name of the Githyanki city ship thing. And then I'm thinking I'm also going to add a portal to Sigil City, the City of Doors. We'll do some crazy multiverse stuff there. I haven't figured out much with that yet. Bowl is our first, like, we have ideas fleshed out. So if you're one of my players and you're still watching, now would actually be a good time to leave. So we already, like you can see here, we have the Game Master's Book of Legendary Dragons. We have a Book of Dragons up here. One of those two it's like just a book full of dragons. So we're gonna have a bunch of dragons to fight, and Mythic Odysseys of Theros is gonna be our Greek Odyssey kind of setting, and then also Danmachi, which has a similar, like, the pantheon of gods living among normal people. And so we have the players will be invited to the Tournament of Champions, which is our first adventure idea, and we have, you know, various gods who will invite us, and they'll have various tournaments and stuff to do there. And then we're going to have a little subplot, or maybe a main plot, where one of the gods who invited our players kills the host of the tournament, a god. So we'll have some sort of weapon that can kill gods, the god-killing sword from Thor that Gore uses, or, you know, something else, right? Some fancy poison or something that this guy used to kill Karametra. and we'll have a little bit of a murder mystery going. But also, like, the main idea will be that, like, gods do bleed. And so how does the city react to this? A god just died. How does the city react to that? In the middle of this tournament that the gods are putting on, which more or less is just the gods playing God. So there might be a bit of turmoil in the city. And that will be our second time to the planet. I'm kind of hoping that the players will do a thing and then leave, and then I'll be like, hey, here's this other thing you can do. If they want to stay, the first thing they will be doing is the Tower of Gods in this planet. That way, they can get, like, recognized in the Tower of Gods to be invited to the Tournament of Champions. That won't be the first thing that they come to. The first thing they will do is the Tower of Gods, which is more or less the Don Machi inspiration here. So this will be your classic dungeon crawl. You go in, you kill some stuff, you find some loot, you come out, you sell it, you get money, you level up. It's fun. It's classic D&D. You go lower, it gets harder, but there's better loot down there, right? And you can do some fun character stuff in there. Maybe meet some cool people, some NPCs to come on your crew. We'll have time in the city of Theros, whatever I name the city, where they'll be doing their things. There will be time for, side quests based on the various factions, time to meet some people. This is on Sun 2. Oh, so this is Sun 3. So we will have people already ready to go. And we'll talk about the factions here in a second, and then we'll call this first video done before I start doing actual brainstorming, as opposed to just telling you things. So Unuma, like I said earlier, Salt Marsh, Waterdeep, Turtle People, but I want to do, I want to take that stuff from there and do, maybe not feudal Japan, but somehow Japan. And some underwater combat, some One Piece stuff with the ship, because the ship will be working as an actual pirate ship. So there won't be vertical combat involved. It'll be more, less dogfighting with pirate ships and more ship-to-ship combat, which will be interesting. Maybe I'll do some devil fruits or something. That could be fun. Some temporary god powers for my players. Desperado, this is one of my campaigns I'm more interested in, and something I will continue to work on for a long time. Desperado, I don't have any ideas written down, but I do have an idea in my head. I'm going to write it down right now before I forget. I thought of this in the shower while I was thinking about how to do this video. If you don't know what the Deepstone Crypt is, it's from Destiny. We'll talk about it in a future episode. So this is like Wild West meets futuristic steampunk, like solar punk, but there's a lot of magic going on here. So I might move, right now I have Strixhaven as one of my spaceports. I might move Strixhaven into a smaller adventure here, as opposed to a school, because Desperado, aka Eberron, has a rich history in magic. There's a lot of magic going on. I might put the biggest Academia Magi school here. Academia Magi, the name of the school. I might put that big school here and do a long magic school campaign. So it's hard to type with the mic in the way. Okay. So those are more or less my campaign hooks for this planet. And then Hilda, we want to look at the giants, but we're going to, so the idea being the dwarves that Hilda has mind controlled into being a hive mind of sorts, not mind flayers, something different. will be based off of giants, so kind of doing the dwarf giant things from Nidavellir. So there will be a star forge in the core of the planet where we can forge some powerful weapons and armor. And then Icewind Dale, so like the northern polar cap of the planet, is super cold because this planet is always in it orbits Bol, right? And it's permanently stuck in the shadow of Bol. So I'm the sun, and my thumb is Bol, and Hilda is my pinky, my pointer finger. And so it goes like this. So it's always in the shadow of the planet in front of it. So it doesn't really get sun ever. Maybe like the South Pole gets sun, so it's like the southern pole of the planet is like the hottest, the warmest. Like it barely gets sun, so you can have like slightly normal stuff there. But the rest of the planet is completely covered in ice, and the North Pole is where we'll do some freezing Frost Maiden stuff there, which is cool. And then, like I said, I have the 3 spaceports right now are Kuzimu, which has keys from the Golden Vault, so we'll be doing some heist stuff there. Strixhaven, the class that might move to Desperado, in which case I will reinstate Infernal Machine Rebuild, maybe. I'll come up with something on my own. And then the newest book, Quest from the Infinite Staircase, coming out sometime later this year. I'll get that eventually, and we'll do some fun stuff there in the future. So, factions. I think I will talk about factions in the future. I think I will call this first episode for now and go get lunch because I'm hungry. But we will start to break this down as we go and into smaller digestible videos. In which case, let me just do this right now. So, factions. So the way I want to do factions is, and I have Ravnica, the book for guilds and things. So I'll look into that. Excuse me. I'll look into that and see exactly what they are doing with guilds and spells and things, and maybe expand my setup, make it more interesting. But right now, basically, you do jobs, you get mail, your crew member is your contact. Eventually, you'll have a crew member, or you'll just get mail from the guild the faction that you're in contact with, and they will give you jobs. You do jobs, you get faction reputation. As you complete jobs, you level up with that faction, you get new perks for that faction. So level 1, that faction will no longer be hostile on site. So, not that all factions are hostile on site until you do a job for them, but like the Vondons, the Spacing Guild, like they're not gonna be nice to you necessarily. If you piss them off, they will try to shoot you down. Versus like Academia Magi, if you walk up to them and be like, are an ass, they will just be like, hey, leave. They're not gonna try to kill you. If you do a job for them, then they'll know you're worth their time. They won't be hostile to you anymore. Let me maybe change this. They will no longer be, or they will act more positively. Slash trusting. Let's spell that correctly. Okay. And then level 2, you will get a crew member from that faction. This one is really fun because I can just literally be like, hey, here's an NPC. Put them on your ship. You can't do anything about it. Ha ha ha. I mean, of course, you can kill them. You will lose reputation. Level 3, Corporal, access to space lanes from that faction. This is something I will have to work on when I work on the map, is creating space lanes that somehow make sense for all of these factions and are different, or maybe some of them are just the same. Like there are some space lanes that are just kind of open to everybody, or like the Academia Magi and the High Conglomerate use this space lane because it makes sense, right? So you can travel back between different suns at whichever point you want. Sergeant, level 4, you will get special jobs, which are harder, but are better for loot. You get new loot. And there is also an opportunity for faction-specific gear, knowledge, and influence, which I have down here, which we'll talk about in a second. Then we have level 5, Captain. You get a captain's coin, which gives you access to secret areas for higher up members of a faction. So this is a big one. We're getting serious stuff. We're getting specific stuff now. And then level 6. This is the biggest one, the highest level right now. Access to the leader of your faction. More or less become a leader of your faction. You can make plans with the leaders, and you get a percentage of the faction's profits. So when we talk about percentage of the faction's profits, then I'm starting to think like, okay, does the ship itself, like the ship and its crew, do you guys have like an income? Do we have to do a whole economy system where like you have passive income from your crewmates, but they also have to be paid? So you have to we're like running a business now. It'll obviously be simplified. I don't know anything about business. It'll mostly just be ups and downs based on. I'm not gonna do like a whole the worth of the dollar. You know, I'm not gonna create an entire fake economy. As fun as that would be. And then I have some restrictions. So you can only be a general for one faction. All other faction ranks will reduce to level 3 if higher, or 2 if restrictions apply. Some factions don't play nice with each other. For instance, if you are a level 4 or higher in the Ethereum Pirates Limited or the Von Dons, you cannot exceed level 2 of the Spacefaring Guild, and vice versa. So if you're level 4 of the Spacefarers Guild, you cannot be level 2 or higher. You cannot be higher than level 2 for the Ethereum Pirates Limited with the Von Dons. If you are higher than level 4 for the High Conglomerate, you cannot exceed level 2 of Academia Magi. So we'll go into detail about the Academia Magi and the High Conglomerate beef, but it's mostly just politics. The differing politics of those two factions. So here are the specific buffs that you get at level 4, I think. Yes, faction-specific gear, knowledge, and influence. So here, the High Conglomerate, you will gain political influence. Can be incredibly powerful. The Von Dons, you will gain influence in the criminal Underdark. You know, maybe you have a rogue on your team, and they're high with the Von Dons. You want to be able to make some extra cash under the Spacefarers Guild and the Conglomerate's Eye. Academia Magi, higher level spells, access to powerful grimoires, which will give your spellcasters, maybe they get some spells they shouldn't have yet. I'm not saying, wish, but I'm not saying wish. Whatever wish does. I don't know yet. I can make a guess. It's a level 9 spell. It's called Wish. You could probably do whatever you want with that. Ethereum Pirates Limited, you get access to smuggling routes, which are more like... I guess it would be space lanes. You would have access to more space lanes than any other faction. So you could probably use anyone's space lanes. Because if we're just access to smuggling routes, isn't that just the same as level 3? But this one is like you can use everybody's space lanes without being level 3 for those things. And then the Spacefarers Guild, you have access to the safest space lanes. So there may be some not so safe space lanes. I might also add in this, like, money. you get more money. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Access. I've done that every single time I've spelled access. To... I don't know. This is what? This is level 4? What do we want to give our players at level 4? They will have had to complete 10 jobs for for the Spacing Guild, the Spacefarers Guild. 10 jobs, and they won't come super often. So like, I mean, that's one thing I don't like is like, oh, you hit level 20 when you beat the campaign, so that's lame. So I want to be able to hit level 20 before you finish the campaign. So we need to be able to hit level 6 with your faction before the end of the campaign, right? Or level 4 or something, right? So these things aren't super hard to attain necessarily, but they give you some good stuff. But I also don't want to overlevel my players, so things will get hard. So I'm thinking about like the stuff on the ships, other than like profit sharing, which the Spacefarers Guild is not gonna be super keen to do. Maybe they just give you some stuff, some access to, they give you leftover junk on their ships, or like not even that, like unclaimed goods, so like you go to the airport in Lost and Found or something and nobody ever comes to claim it. Then they do like an auction and you can buy stuff that people lost because they haven't come and claimed it. And there's like, contracts when you buy your ticket and stuff. If you don't come and claim your Lost and Found after so much time, then the airport owns it. Something like that the Spacefarers Guild has access to. Then all this Lost and Found or unclaimed goods on their ships, which there is plenty, maybe sometimes they just give you some stuff. They're just like, yeah, you traveled on our ship, you used our space lanes, you've done some good work for us, maybe you have yourself moved some stuff on your ship. You can just keep whatever people don't pick up. And that could be valuable, it could not be. But sometimes people forget, like rich people forget some stuff sometimes because they don't even know what all they have. Yeah, and then I will get into specifics on the spaceship in the future. So this has been over an hour long. This is basically just what I have so far. And I think in the future I will be more specific. This will actually be a brainstorming thing, but today I just wanted to give you guys everything I have so far, and then kind of work forward more specifically. Oh, today we're going to be working on the faction system. Today we're going to be working on the economy system. Today we're going to be working on plot hooks, for this planet or something. Today we're going to be working on the map, and I can just kind of like give myself a checklist of things that I need to accomplish, and like, okay, I'm going to do the map today, or I had an idea for a campaign hook today, and I can come here, record, and just talk it out, figure it out, reference the books, look at what I need to look up, write it out, give myself an idea, put it in the doc, upload it to YouTube. Then a month later, I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I don't remember how I was thinking about that, or I need to look at this thing. I like go and I can watch myself think. So feel free to watch this or don't. It's gonna go up on YouTube. I will sit through and edit some of the quiet moments or the weird foaming at the mouth thing. I will get rid of that because that was gross and probably sounded even worse. So thank you guys for watching. If you did, I'll see you guys, I'll see me next time. All right.